Hello, this is Rick Saltarelli with Salty Breeze Cruise Planners with this week's segment of Beyond Your Front Door. And today I am chatting with somebody from Alaska with Northern Alaska Tour Company. Please welcome Kathy Hedges, who represents the company.
Hi there. Good afternoon. Good morning.
Yeah, well, thank you for being with us. And I love that background because that's really, to me, epitomizes what Alaska is about for many, many people.
Oh, absolutely. It's a dream item for many. It's a in our back door type of situation for us residents, and it's a long season, end of August through end of April. So it's here quite a bit of the time.
Sure. I've been chatting to a lot of people recently from Alaska, and they all start the conversation by, "You should have been here last night."
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so I want to talk about the company and how it got started because you have such a unique, I think you told me one time, a kind of an Alaskan story how you get started. So why don't you share that with us?
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah, I feel it's Alaskan because it's born and bred, if you will. Where Northern Alaska Tour Company started from was some friends that graduated from West Valley High School just down the road, and they went into summer jobs when they graduated. Some in the visitor industry, and they were being asked, "The Arctic Circle, how do I get there?" And at that time in 1986, there were no tours to the Arctic Circle, and so ingenuous that they were, they bought a van, they got a business license, and they started their own company that for the summers between university and college, they went to the Arctic Circle. One day they guided, one day they watched the bus, one day they, took reservations, but they did that for a couple summers and then graduated. Some left to do their own jobs, but others said, you take a look at Alaska's map, that's just a pinch of it. And they said, there is so much more to share. And so jump to today, we have year-round opportunities that take you all over Alaska's Arctic. And we do have Aurora adventures as well. And they really felt attached to this region to share it with others. And that's where we are today with a number of different Arctic Circle adventures.
Sure. I think it's just such an amazing story. And you have so many byproducts. We're going to try to talk about a few of them today.
In a 2-minute segment. Okay.
Yeah. But I love your tagline, sharing Alaska's Arctic with the world. What do you feel is the magic in that for most people?
Well, I think the part of the magic is it brings it alive. A common question for people will ask is like, well, what am I going to see? In the wintertime, it's just going to be covered with snow. And in the summertime, it's like, it's just this big wide open area. What am I going to see? It's that sharing with them of what it is that you're seeing. The vegetation that grows, they only have 3 months of sunlight for the vegetation to grow and to really share what that vegetation is and what animals happen to walk through here. So it just really brings it alive with that sharing of the region.
Right. And I think especially something like what's in your background, that just will leave you kind of speechless.
Right. And it does.
How many airplanes do you have and what sort of size are they?
Well, with the aircraft, because there's ground and air tours, technically we have probably 13 to 15 airplanes, but we don't always go at one time. But there's usually no limit per se. But it's funny is that here we're going to a very large open area. It's really a good comfort level to only go with 2 or 3 planes because then you kind of have that space to yourself. But the planes are 9-passenger aircraft and it's weight and balance. And so again, sometimes we're at 1 plane for 8 people, or sometimes we need 2 planes for that same number of people. And then the coaches, we have vans at 10 passengers or coaches 26 passengers.
Sure. And so if we concentrate on, well, both the flights and the tours, you have a bunch of what I'll call short excursions, like 1 day, maybe a little over 1 day, short excursions that go, again, above the Arctic Circle. Why don't you give us a kind of broad overview of what's available?
Broad, yes. And so you're right. One of the shortest ones is our Arctic Circle Air Adventures, because by its name, you're flying. And that can take on a couple different variations. It could be the Arctic Circle Air Adventure that just focuses more on Alaska's Arctic. But we also have flights that go to a village called Fort Yukon. And that's a flight in, visit with an Athabascan, Gwich'in Athabascan community. We also have flights that go up to Anaktuvik Pass. That's in the gates of the Arctic National Park and a Nunavut Eskimo community. We have a little bit longer flight is going up to Utqiagvik, the town formerly known as Barrow. And that's a flight as well because there's no roads. And so it's really having that flavor and choices of the air adventure, depending on your time, your budget, your interest. And then that one we won't go down the path, but people can contact you later for is you can do an Arctic Circle air adventure, Arctic Circle fly drive adventure, an Arctic Circle drive adventure, an Arctic Circle overnight adventure. But those are for later. That's for another discussion.
Sure. But anybody wanting to get north of the Arctic Circle in a serious way,
Oh,
they
yeah.
can certainly get that put off of their bucket list.
Exactly. And you mentioned bucket list. Fewer than 2% of Alaska's summer visitors cross the Arctic Circle. So not only a bucket list, but a bragging bucket list item.
Yeah, definitely bragging. And I know you have excursions for the summer and the winter, as well as your Aurora adventures. Now, there are some obvious differences, time of year, but what are the other differences between all of those?
I mean, it's because there's some of them are the same. You could do an Arctic Circle air adventure in the summertime or an Arctic Circle winter air in the wintertime. Operationally, the winter air, we have to stay on the ground less time because of cold. We can't stay on the ground as long. But you're getting a lot of the same story, the information, but you're seeing it now covered in snow and the daylight is different. The sun is on the horizon versus being right above you. And so it really, we do have guests that actually come both times and they do both. And they do talk about the differences that they saw that about, but until you actually experience light on the horizon, because technically Coldfoot, where we land, is north of the Arctic Circle, and they have times that the sun doesn't rise, but it's not pitch black. And you don't know that until you experience it.
Sure. Yeah, I think everything that you would do would be an amazing experience, especially that first time you go.
Yep.
Yeah. And so we've talked about the ones that are part of a day and some that are multiple day. What would actually be the most popular excursion or adventure that you saw?
Oh, again, one of those, depending on what you're looking for. I think, I guess 2 categories. For those that are doing have only one day, I would say probably, a tie, the Arctic Circle air adventure, if someone is limited on time, or the Arctic Circle fly drive adventure, because then you can kind of see it from the air and experience it from the ground. And so again, I'd say a tie for popularity there. There's also the Arctic Ocean adventure. That's for the person who really has scheduled a lot of time in the interior or for their overall Alaska vacation, because now they're going to get that Arctic Circle, Brooks Range, Arctic Coastal Plain, and then jump in the Arctic Ocean. So that's kind of rounds it up.
Like literally jump in the Arctic Ocean?
Oh, yes. Literally. And there are people that it's not deep, so they can't dive, but there are people that bring their towel and they totally immerse themselves into the water. I applaud them, but I don't join them.
Wow. Well, you've heard that here, folks. If you want to jump in the Arctic Ocean, we can make that happen.
Exactly.
Oh, my.
Exactly.
And would that be the most exotic excursion, or do you have another one that's more exotic?
Oh, there's
than that?
one more. There's one more that's probably the most exotic, and that would be our polar bear expedition. And that is a 1 month only, August 25 through September 25, going up to the village of Kaktovik on Barter Island, which is in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. And it's where the polar bears who have just spent the summer lounging in the cliffs on the mainland are slowly making their way out to the polar ice. So I'd say that's probably the most exotic experience that we have.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm kind of wondering how I just go myself. So,
Yeah.
So this is my final question for the day. What would you say to the travel enthusiast that has not been to the Arctic Circle yet, maybe hasn't even been thinking about it, but now they're listening and they're going, oh, wow, I got to put that on my bucket list. Is this something you should do when you're a little bit younger, when you got the stamina to do it, or what would you say to somebody?
Well, because you phrase it that way, I would say, no, you don't need to have that stamina. Especially with our adventures, ours are what I would say is a soft adventure. It's the adventure at heart that you have, because we're going to take care of you. You're not carrying all your bags. You're not walking the miles to get there. We're taking care of you. But at the same time, you said, should they come when they're young? Well, yeah, come when you're young, then come when you're a little older with your family, and then come again when you're retired. And that's for Alaska. Break up Alaska into parts and see it. But yeah, they shouldn't be feeling that they should have come. They should have come when they were earlier. Come now. Yeah. Book with you and come now.
Yeah. Actually, I think that's the best advice we could give to somebody, because there are some places in the world, I don't want to mention what they are, but there are some places in the world that are kind of one and done. Alaska is not like that. I have people that I talk to, I have clients that I talk to that have been 25 or 30 times. They just love going to Alaska because there's so much that you're going to see on every trip that's not the same all the time. The glaciers move and change, the wildlife change. Yeah, perhaps the towns are growing or something is going on different times of year. You're going to see all 4 seasons in Alaska in a much shorter period of time. So if you only go in 1 month of the year, you are not seeing everything that you really want to see. So I want to thank you for sharing that with us. I'm so excited about this whole thought of being able to get into the Arctic Circle excursions for clients. And this is something that you can do as part of another vacation. So if you are going to Alaska and you're going on maybe a cruise tour with the cruise lines, you could go in a couple of days or 3 days early into Fairbanks and enjoy this experience. So we've been chatting with Kathy from Arctic Circle Excursions. I want to thank you for being here. I'm Rick Saltarelli. I'm with Salty Breeze Cruise Planners, the place where we help create lifelong lasting memories. And we invite you to give us a call at 888-332-8202. Thank you, Kathy, so much for your time today.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for watching.
Bye-bye.